Welcome to Panthers Ranters Podcast. Kick back and enjoy news, topics, and more for your Panthers. With your host, Andrew, and co-hosts, Michael and Logan.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to episode 14, I believe, this week. We got a lot to talk about. Panthers are 1-0 in the preseason. If you didn't check out last week's episode, make sure to check it out on Spotify and YouTube. They're uploaded. And we're just going to jump right into this week because, like I said, we got a lot to talk about. Michael, Logan, welcome back. How are you guys doing tonight? We're filming when the sun's up. That's rare for us.
I'm doing good.
Awesome.
Yeah, doing great, man. Fueled by the sunshine.
That's right.
I'd be doing great, but Haynes King's put up like the best preseason game ever and then decided to get hurt.
That is true. We'll definitely speak on Haynes King. That is my topic to talk about. If you guys haven't heard in the last few episodes, Haynes King's been brought up probably once or twice almost in every episode for like 4 straight weeks. So we got a lot to talk about this week. I guess we'll jump right into it. Panthers are 1-0. We beat the Cardinals. Some good things, some bad things. Definitely coming closer to the season. Next week we play the Bills. So, Michael, if you want to start off with your couple of takeaways from the Hall of Fame game. Panthers won 33-30, right? Correct?
Yes.
Yes. So, start us off, Michael.
Okay. Just some general, I guess, like, props. First, I just want to give props to NBC and the NFL for putting on the Hall of Fame game like they did.
Absolutely.
I thought it was very well done. I thought Tirico and Collinsworth, it was so great to hear those two again.
Yeah.
But I thought they particularly called a great game. It's one thing to call like a good game during the regular season, but like when you're calling preseason games and you're watching like 80 guys on each team who you've never heard of and you're memorizing all those jersey numbers and all that, that's not easy. And I thought both Collinsworth and Tirico did a great job like being knowledgeable and providing good insights throughout. So good on them. Officiating was also very good. I don't think we had any nonsense on that front. And then both teams showed up and really came to play and put on good performances.
Yeah.
So all of all, like a great night for football, in my opinion, and a heck of a way to kick off the year.
That's right.
As far as Panthers takeaways that I want to discuss, firstly, I thought execution in the 2-minute drill on offense was phenomenal. I'm not sure how you all felt, but I was very impressed with how they did.
Looked really good.
Yeah, I mean, receivers and quarterback were clear on the same page the entire time. People were getting to the line quickly after completions. You saw deliberate efforts by both Haynes King and the receivers to get out of bounce when after they made a catch. That's not something we always see. And then they ended up scoring at the end of both halves. Both at the end of the first half, which would have been a touchdown if it wasn't for Haynes King's one miss of the night. And then, of course, we scored at the end of the game. So they didn't just do it once; they did it twice. They looked very impressive throughout. And I really liked what we saw from the backups there. If our backups are executing that well in the 2-minute drill, like it's a really good look for the coaching staff, in my opinion. That's what we got.
Yep. Absolutely. I actually jump into mine. One thing that we did not discuss in between, starting the episode, the offense looked really good as far as like play calling and stuff. So it kind of makes me really excited to see what the starters do under Izik's play calling. I thought it was a good diversity of run. Early on, Pickett was kind of iffy. I guess. I don't know what the difference was with Pickett and King obviously playing. It kind of looked like maybe the playbook opened a little bit more for King, but the ball was moving. You didn't really see too many plays once King got in that was, just dead, weren't working, anything like that. The ball was moving, so very excited to see how it looks under Bryce and, all the starters. Obviously.
Can I jump in there?
Yeah, go.
One thing, if I don't want to hate on the guy too much, but I did not exactly love what we saw from Kenny Pickett.
Yeah,
I thought he was. Yeah, I just thought he was a bit too gun shy for my liking. I very much felt like I was watching Teddy Bridgewater again.
Yeah.
One of the third downs that we had that we ended up not converting. Kenny Pickett had a guy coming wide open across the middle on a dig route. If he had just hung in the pocket and waited like 2 more seconds to throw it, he would have been, maybe not 2 more seconds, like a half second longer, the guy would have been wide open, and they would have been able to convert a pretty big third down. Instead, Kenny took the check down to, I believe it was Sanders. He got tackled short, and then we're having to punt. And it's things like that like, okay, the quarterback didn't do anything wrong, but we didn't convert and we killed the drive as a result.
Right.
So, just being nitpicky there. And I thought the biggest difference between King and Pickett in terms of efficiency, if you want a clear metric, just look at the third down conversion rates. I mean, they went 1 for 3 with Pickett in, and they went 9 for 12 with King in. So you clearly saw a difference in terms of who was really going for the sticks more, in my opinion.
Yeah, I kind of think it almost seemed like going into the game, Pickett maybe was like, okay, I'm QB2, I just got to kind of go through the motions, do what I got to do, and I'm done, right? As far as, I mean, it could be, maybe they did open up the playbook a little bit more for King. I don't know for sure, but and he definitely took full advantage of it. Obviously we're going to get into Haynes King, but the offense looked great under him. So that was, when King got in, the offense looked great. I'm excited to see, like I said, with Isaac's play calling with the starters. And, I mean, the offense has got me excited. Defense a little iffy. I think the rookies, first game, get the jitters out. Will Lee looked pretty good except for the one play that he bit on the double move and got burnt. But I think he can. That's definitely something that, you can overcome. Like I said, first game jitters could have been.
For sure.
So we'll see.
Hey, speaking of getting the jitters out, Logan, are you here?
Yeah.
That was my two topics. So Logan, let's open up the floor to Logan.
Keep going.
Say again, Logan.
I just sensed all the passion about Haynes King. I just want to let y'all keep riding.
Okay.
No, that was my topic. So Logan, go ahead. Let's hear what you think about the Hall of Fame win.
I'm glad you are with us, Logan.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Well, I think what I liked and what I really looked at specifically after the game was how our centers were doing. Hecht and Samac got a lot of time this game, and I'm sure a lot of people have probably seen the play of Sam Hecht getting bullied by the Billings guy on the Cardinals. And that kind of makes two clips that Sam Hecht's been posterized. But I will say a couple things in his defense. First, that's a nose tackle versus a center. Most of the time, that should be a win for the nose tackle. I know people don't consider nose tackles to be pass rushers, but they're usually the biggest guy on the field. Centers are usually a little bit undersized for inside linemen. That's why I usually have double teams dedicated towards the nose tackle. And second is he actually had a lot of good movement, a lot of good tape throughout the rest of the game. So if you're curious about that, I definitely recommend a watch. That said, I think it's pretty obvious now that Fortner's probably got that job locked up. I got a little maybe too excited to start out from the prospect of there being a pro-ready center in Sam Hecht, but when you get down to it, I mean, it's just tough coming into that position as a rookie where everybody's so huge in the league.
Hey, give him time. That was like one of two bad plays he had the entire game.
Yes, and he had a lot of good plays outside of that. So I mean, I'm still excited. I still think center of the future, pretty great. And even if something were to happen to Fortner this season, I don't think I'd be freaking out, especially because Nick Samac looked pretty good too. I mean, he's someone that doesn't look like he has a lot of trouble with power. He's a little bit more of a bigger center. I know I've heard rumblings about the coaching staff really liking him for a while now, and it'd be weird to carry three centers. I know they're, I think today or yesterday they tried putting him at guard to see if he can play there. That would be awesome. But it is funny though, because I just heard the news about Cade Mays. He's got that unfortunate wrist injury.
Yep.
That's terrible for him and the Lions. But it is kind of crazy that we've let a center walk, and honestly, I think we've got three centers now on the roster that I'd feel pretty comfortable starting. So I'm happy with how that room's looking at the moment.
4 if you include Brady Christensen.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
Swing guy.
But
yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of interior offensive linemen, Chandler Zavala quietly had like the game of his life in the Hall of Fame game. I'm not sure if any of you guys saw that same play you mentioned where Sam Hecht kind of got bull rushed to the quarterback at the goal line. If you watch Chandler Zavala on that play, he literally off the snap stops and just holds his ground and does not move an inch against the bull rush that the deep tackle tried to get on him. And the other thing about that play too that people don't talk about is Trevor Etienne did everything he possibly could to sabotage the blocking on that play. I'm not sure if you guys have seen it, but I guess he was going out on like a little like flare route or hook route or whatever it was, but he managed to kick both Hecht and Zavala on that play, like on his way out of the backfield. So,
I mean, that's a big deal because, if he wants to get on the field, it's probably going to be as a little bit of a third down back. So if you're screwing up pass protection, that's a pretty big mark against you.
Yeah, well, he wasn't in pass protection. I mean, his job was to just, like turn around for a little like curl route or whatever, like a little flare out. Yeah, he wasn't pass blocking. He was just on his way out of the backfield running his route. He managed to hit both Zavala and Hecht at the same time. Yeah. And I think that partially contributed to that ugly play that Hecht had. But Zavala didn't budge. Zavala, to his credit, just like held still and didn't move an inch. Zavala also made the key block on A.J. Dillon's touchdown, so props to him there. And he ended up with the I think the top PFF grade on offense for the game. Awesome. So
definitely
all good stuff for Chandler Zavala.
Yeah, we definitely need some more rotational guys on the O-line. So if somebody can emerge through camp or through these preseason games, we need it. So that's going to be great. Absolutely. Speaking real quick, I want to touch on this. I didn't watch many Packers games. I did not realize how big A.J. Dillon was, but that dude is a monster-looking dude on the field. Shout out for him for getting a touchdown in the game too. Obviously, I think he's going to make the team, but I do see where it's going to be hard between the running backs. Obviously, you got Chuba and Brooks, but I think he's going to take the touches from ETN. I do. I know he's only on a 1-year deal, but I think there's something there. A big dude, which we haven't had in a while in the backfield. I like what I've seen from him from the few touches that he got.
Yeah, he might. That running back room is really interesting. Yeah. I don't see them keeping 4 running backs. And right now you have Chuba, Brooks, Dillon, and Achane back there. So I'm curious to see like who the odd man out is going to be.
I really think it's going to be ETN.
But at least Achane offers you like kick return value.
Right. Which was something they were rotating through the game. I don't know if you guys seen that.
Yeah, I'm really curious how it's going to shake out. Because, I mean, it wasn't like he was super inspiring at that position last year.
Yeah, especially the playoff game. It was rough. To jump into another topic, and if you guys are cool with this, I'm ready to talk about Haynes King. Haynes King lit up.
I got more to talk about before we get into the GOAT.
Go for it. It's killing me not to talk about Haynes King, but go for it.
Yeah, well, while we're on the subject of running backs, one thing I felt that was really weird and that kind of, I won't say weird, but just kind of annoyed me. So, for some reason, and I know it's a preseason game, but who cares? Anthony Titus, for whatever reason, ran for 19 yards at 2.4 yards a carry. He received 8 carries and fumbled on one of them, and no other running back on the team received more than 4 carries.
Yeah.
I'm just like, why? Like, why do we have to watch that?
It definitely, maybe it was like a guy because he was undrafted, obviously, so maybe a guy that was like,
maybe they're just using him as like the battering ram, but for my viewing pleasure, I was like, what am I watching right now? Like, I don't care if that was the smart football move. From my watching perspective, I was like, why am I watching this?
Yeah. Definitely the odd man out on the rushing stats for the game.
Yes. The one thing I actually did want to talk about on a serious note, I thought a lot of our, I guess, big-name backup safeties played really well. Yeah. Especially when you look at how many deep shots the Cardinals took. Isaiah Simmons made a key deflection on 4th down on one of the Cardinals' deep pass attempts. Latham Ransom made a great play on special teams and then immediately followed up by making a tackle like on the very next play. So good on him. He only had a handful of snaps, but he was awesome in the ones he had.
Shout out Ransom for that monster hit. I know the dude called it, but he's had
what was crazy about that too is he cut his eye on that play and then stayed in the game.
Yeah.
Like, it's preseason. We don't need you doing that, but like, good on you for doing so. No, I really hope he becomes a quality starter someday because his attitude and his physicality is just they don't make it like that anymore. So I really hope he manages to find a way into being a starter someday.
Absolutely.
And then of course Zakai Wheatley had probably the best game out of any Panthers defender on the team. He finished with 8 tackles and he forced a fumble. Tackling is not really what we kind of knew him for coming out of the draft. He was more known as like that free safety type who just never gives up a big play. Not only did he not give up a big play, but finishing with 8 tackles like in your first game is pretty impressive at the NFL level. And then that fumble he had was also like, that wasn't just like he touched the ball and he fumbled. No, he ripped for it.
Yep.
He went for the peanut punch and was able to get it out. So great debut for Zakai Wheatley. I don't know why he's not being talked about more.
Yeah. I mean, especially because that was really his big strength coming out of college. Is this guy just has great instincts already. He's always around the ball. He always seems to know where it's going. So really, really excited about that.
Yeah. And that's all I had as far as good things.
Cool.
I also watched the. I'm sorry about that.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I was just saying. The other thing that I watched was the other side of the ball. I watched the centers, but I also watched the nose tackles between Lee Hunter and Cam Jackson, and it wasn't stellar, but it was solid. It was solid. Particularly in Lee Hunter's case, there was a little bit of movement from time to time, but there was a lot of good technique mixed in there too. Particularly on run plays, that's where you want him to be really good. I thought he was solid. I thought he was decent. Not a lot of the Cardinals O-line did have a hard time moving him around, and he set a good line. Cam Jackson was a lot better at that, though. You could definitely tell that he was the second-year man, and he's actually the guy that made that first video of Sam Hecht getting a little embarrassed. He's just a really strong dude, and I think we could see a lot of action from him this year.
Elijah Garcia also had a really good game at that right defensive end position.
Yeah.
Okay. That's good to see because they had Harrison Hunt out there for a really long time, and I was really hoping to see more from him, but honestly, it wasn't too inspiring. I know the coaching staff has got to be clamoring for ways to get more pass rush on the inside. I'm not sure if we're going to get it from Harrison Hunt, but all this is just one preseason game, so hopefully they can pick it up there. Same with Lee Hunter.
Yeah, absolutely.
One other thing too on the preseason game, can we talk about how much Trevin Wallace played?
I know. That actually goes to what the next topic was I was going to go on to. We'll get into that because it runs right into it. Before the game, Canales said that players...
But today.
I'm talking about from last week. Canales had said that, the people who were starters or basically competing for a starting job basically weren't going to see the field, right? So... you speak of Trevin Wallace. He was out there. I know Princely, he was out there. Sanders was out there. Shaw Smith-Wade was out there. David Moore was out there. Bigger guys that we've seen last year and in years past have roles, on the field a lot. Actually got a lot more playing time than I would have thought they would have gotten, So, yeah, and go ahead with Trevin Wallace because he was one of them for sure that was out there a lot longer than I thought he was going to be.
Well, yeah, and I thought you were going to say Canales came out today and pretty much announced that...
The training camp battle.
Claude Charlotis versus Trevin Wallace is like an open training camp battle.
Yeah.
Which, that surprised me.
It did.
I mean, it makes sense. Like, I think Charlotis a lot of times has been better than Trevin Wallace has at that middle linebacker spot. If nothing else, he's a lot better of a run defender, which if you're playing a 3-4 base anyway, that's kind of what you expect. You expect to run. So, I mean, I think it's good. I think Trevin Wallace needs to be pushed, and if he can't hold his own, get him out of there.
Absolutely.
I mean, he's had almost 2 years of starting experience to really prove he can be that guy, and he just hasn't done that so far.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll see who they pick.
This is probably his last year for sure. He's, besides... It's hard to say we look at, but besides really any of those draft picks, Wallace has probably been one of the more underwhelming draft picks that we've had so far. I think as he was a third-round pick, correct me if I'm wrong, but...
yeah, he was, yeah.
And it probably had a little bit more hype than he should have, but, coming into a league and you were a starter as soon as you were, we haven't seen much out of him. Very disappointing in him. So...
What's also sad is that he was probably the best pick in that class just because of how much he's played.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's not good.
Yeah, that's not good.
Not good at all.
Hopefully, I think Jonathan Brooks might turn that around and kind of flip that narrative a bit.
Yeah.
Maybe JT Sanders has something to say about that too, but that class is not looking good right now.
Yeah. But yeah, going back to kind of like what I said, what Canales said about, people who weren't going to play that were, starters or competing for a starting job. Like David Moore, I feel like he played a little bit more than going off of what Canales said, than probably what he should have. Sanders, he was only out there for a couple of drives, so I could, kind of see that between him and Trimble, so I could see him getting a couple touches. Jimmy Horn, I don't think he played until either the late second quarter, early third quarter, and obviously he was here last year, so kind of surprising seeing him on the field that late. He didn't have a bad game, 4 catches, 44 yards. But yeah, I mean, definitely going to be interesting to see how these battles, come out, what the turnout's going to be throughout the next few weeks before the season starts.
Yeah, most definitely. The receiver room's only gotten more interesting. I definitely kind of thought David Moore was a roster lock the way the coaching staff kept talking about him, but having him out there in the preseason a little bit of a weird look, especially when Mechie and Horn did have a couple nice catches.
Yeah, and one thing I also thought was weird, like, I don't know what Hall of Fame game protocol is in terms of playing time. We have more than 8 receivers in training camp, and we hardly saw any of them outside of those the top 8, I should say, between Moore, Tremaine, Mechie, Jimmy Horn. Who else am I missing?
We had a little bit of
Justine Reed.
Oh yeah, Justine Reed. Thank you. Casey Washington.
Yeah.
Like outside of those 8 guys, we really didn't see anyone else other than that, and I thought that was kind of surprising.
Yeah, they definitely kind of went back.
Like generally, the Hall of Fame game is all backups.
Right.
Like all the guys you think that will not make the roster, that's who's supposed to play in the Hall of Fame game. And I think those receivers have a much better shot at making it than that. Yeah.
There's definitely, like you said with receivers, there's definitely more question marks on the bottom end of the depth chart of who's going to make the roster. Obviously, you have the top 3 with T-Mac, Coker, and Leggett. They're going to make the roster. But as far as the other guys, going off of what we've seen from this game, who knows? And again, this could change in the coming weeks before the season starts. But definitely it could change on who makes the roster. I think Reed, he's going to probably make the roster now. I think Tremaine might be the odd guy out. David Moore might be one of the odd guys out. So it's definitely interesting to see, and who they put higher than others on the chart and closer to the season.
I personally still think Tremaine is going to make it.
I just don't see how they can, from what we've heard through training camp, and obviously Reed having a pretty decent game, I don't see how he don't make the roster. So I don't know who after that would be the odd man out.
I mean, you can make a case that Tremaine is the best blocking receiver we have.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that.
And I can't see them cutting that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess part of this is how much do you read into the fact that, Horn and Mechie got so much Hall of Fame game time, because I think a lot of people put that into the positive column for them, that they actually had some catches. But I mean, if you're playing up until the end of the Hall of Fame game, I mean, like you said, maybe protocols changed a little bit, but most of the time that wouldn't be a very good sign for your chances of making the roster.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
We'll see. It'll be interesting.
Yeah. Absolutely. Going into our next topic, so I'm jumping into this. Don't cut me off. But Haynes King. We have talked about Haynes King as a joke for 3 weeks, but he is no longer a joke. He's actually got some hype around him now. Not by no means am I with what everybody on Twitter and all the the crazy people on Twitter and Instagram saying, "Oh, he's your starter." No, he's not a starter. I do think that Haynes King has a good possibility of taking over as QB2 though, especially after what we've seen from Kenny Pickett early on in the game. And again, they could have been what they wanted to call plays for Pickett compared to King. Maybe see what they got, but Haynes King played an outstanding game. Obviously, game-winning touchdown, ran it in. We haven't seen a quarterback for Carolina rush like that in a while. Like I said, I think he's going to be QB2. I think Pickett, I just don't see how they can put King on the practice squad and let another team scoop him up. Real quick, before I let you guys get into it, I did see today, too, Adam Schefter, it was either today or yesterday, Adam Schefter was on the Pat McAfee show, and they said that Haynes King was probably going to play kind of like a Taysom Hill role, and per Adam Schefter, he said that Haynes King was making the team. So take take with that what you want.
As far as him making the team goes, I'll touch on his performance in the Hall of Fame game in a minute. But as far as his shot making the team, you can't let a guy have as good of a game, or you can't have a guy have as good of a game as Haynes King did during the Hall of Fame game, and then hope to hide him on the practice squad.
Yeah, there's no shot.
Like, you're just not going to get away with that. I mean, that was a national game that everybody saw.
Yeah.
Like, you're not hiding that kind of talent just like with, your 12 practice squad buddies.
Right.
That's not a Jalen. You can't do him like you did Jalen Coker and just, keep him there and stash him and hope no one sees him.
Right.
Like, someone is going to pick up Haynes King if you put him on the practice squad. So he 100%. Either you need to trade him or you need to put him on the 53-man roster. Yeah. There is no in between there. You can't hide him, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
As far as his performance in the Hall of Fame game goes, I still maintain that his best play was that 3rd and 15 he converted. Yeah. I mean, that was a beautiful throw right over another defender, layered it perfectly over his head and right into Jimmy Horn's catch radius. I mean, we talk about Bryce Young and all the big-time throws that he makes. That would have been considered a big-time throw, and that's not a throw that every quarterback can make.
Right.
So, of course, you had the rushing touchdown. The other 3rd and 14 he converted on 3rd and long of his legs was an awesome play as well. And the fact that he got out of bounds after that, like, dude, what a way to get some extra credit there.
And hit the dude.
Yeah, and he hit the dude on his way out. Like, and you know why he did that too? He did that so he would be going forward and not backwards. Because if he'd been going backwards, the clock would have kept running. So he had to hit him, and that's what he did.
Smart.
How about that? Yeah.
And if you watch the play too, the corner was like pleading his case that Haynes King had gone out of bounds after he hit him. Like, he was immediately pointing to the ref saying, "Hey, he went backwards. Like, you should keep the clock running." And because Haynes hit him, that's not how it went.
Yeah, heck of a heads up play.
Yeah, very good heads up play on his part.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, it was a lot of. I'll be honest, it was a lot of dink and dunk. Aside from those big two, he had another 3rd and 10 conversion during the 2-minute drill. That was pretty impressive. To Jasam Reed, I believe. And overall, the timing that he displayed and the accuracy that he displayed, like, for a guy who was not really hailed as a pocket passer coming out of college, like, he looked pretty good in his first NFL action. And I think we need to tip our hats off to him for that.
Yeah, I think that's the big takeaway, honestly, is, I don't think people need to be jumping the gun and acting like there's a huge quarterback competition, because, you need to understand that these defensive coordinators call these plays to see what they have on defense first, and if they stop the offense, that's a nice bonus.
Right.
But that said, what's so great about this is, like you said, he doesn't look like necessarily a gadget runner that struggles to throw the football, that looks so wonky and makes it look hard. He looks like a natural passer, and that's huge going forward. I'm curious about the Schefter quote with how he might be used as a gadget guy, because the problem with, like, interviews from guys like Schefter, NFL insiders, is, they'll share their opinions sometimes as, like, a personal opinion of how they see players, and sometimes they'll share it based on reporting they've been getting from the inside, and it's hard to tell which. I'm kind of thinking this one is just kind of like he sees a Haynes King as an athletic guy, and he thinks, well, yeah, it could be Taysom Hill. I'm not sure if he's been hearing that from the Panthers.
Yeah, I could see that.
I got that was more of he was asked a question and just kind of answered it with his opinion rather than he was stating a fact.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate, but that's what we got.
But at least going forward, it looks like we've got a QB2 of the future, hopefully. Kenny Pickett's on that 1-year deal.
Yeah, I could definitely see if Haynes King, I know he has his injury, he's week to week or whatever, but if he gets another game or two in the preseason and does it again, Pickett might be on his way out.
Well, I think the ideal situation is, like, some other team, for whatever reason, needs a quarterback, and we're able to trade Kenny Pickett to that team
for some.
And Haynes King just takes the QB2 job.
Yeah,
that'd be pretty sweet.
And then
I don't know if that'll happen. And I don't know how many teams are out there that desire Kenny Pickett to be their starter for the whole year. I certainly am not one of those teams. What?
I said Atlanta needs a quarterback.
Atlanta needs a quarterback. Oh, we could charge them extra too.
Exactly.
We could see Kenny Pickett like 2 weeks into the season with that.
Well, should be another easy win then.
Yeah, I know that'll be easy pickings. But
easy pickings.
Perfect.
But
yeah.
All jokes aside, I've heard Tua's been balling in camp.
Yeah, I have heard that as well. Had some really good plays. One other thing about the Hall of Fame game I just want to shout out, and this doesn't have anything to do with the actual game. Shout out Luke Kuechly. We got another dude in the Hall of Fame. His speech was great. I'm glad that he got recognized and he's in the Hall of Fame. Wish he had a longer career, but shout out Luke Kuechly for making it to the Hall of Fame of the Panthers.
100% deserved.
Absolutely. If there's not anything else you guys want to speak on from the Hall of Fame game, floor's open real quick. Anything?
Trying to think. I feel like there was. I mean, there was like 3 games worth of preseason action in that one Hall of Fame game. Like I've never. So you want to know a funny story? Kind of off tangent. So I told you guys last time, I think, that I was going to a football party for the Hall of Fame game.
Yeah.
And the way that started was one of my friends and I had been talking about getting together for that game for like weeks. And he's not deep into football like we are. Like he'll watch football game, he'll be entertained, but he's not deep into it like us. And so like 2 days before the game, he's like, "Hey, let's just throw a party. Let's invite some other people over." And I was like, "Dude, it's a preseason game. Like, I don't think this is going to be as entertaining as you think." And he's like, "No, man, it'll be good. We'll figure it out." And then sure enough, it's like, he ends up inviting a whole bunch of people. And of course, it's like the most entertaining preseason game of all time.
That's right. It's a heck of a game. Couldn't believe it. Heck of a
Yeah.
way to start the season. If that has any indication on how the season's going to go for this year, we're in for a wild ride.
I know. It's going to be very disappointing next week when we're like watching a blowout game, whichever way it ends up going. And, we're just milking through the last couple quarters.
Yeah. Speaking of next week, so we'll jump into this one. We play the Bills in their new stadium. Don't know if you guys seen anything. This is kind of a side note, but I've heard some of the seats in that stadium are terrible, and that there's a lot of blood views in that stadium. So shout out the contractors that built that $1 billion stadium for shitty seats. But we do play in Buffalo next week. And one big thing that's came out so far is Dave Canales said the starters will be playing 10 to 20 plays, a few drives to start the game. So very excited to see how that's going to play out.
Yeah, I personally hope. Firstly, I want to say I don't feel the same about the defense, but I want everybody on offense playing, at least in some capacity as far as starters go. I think the ideal situation is just one drive and a touchdown and then go home for the offense. That's kind of what I'm shooting for. If they end up going 3 and out or kicking a field goal, then give them another drive. But yeah, that's kind of where I stand on that. The second you score a touchdown, just take them out.
Yeah. One thing,
as far as the offense goes,
I just don't want to see how it was last year. I believe it was like the second or third game last year in the preseason. But like, we went out there and the offense didn't do anything for 2 drives, and we pulled them. Like, what do you get from that? You don't get any, anything to learn from, anything to gain from it. Nothing. You went 3 and out on 2 straight drives, and you pulled them. So if that happens, throw them for another drive. At least see one more.
I don't even know if
drive.
it was 2 straight drives. I think it was like 1.
Was it 1?
You're talking about against the Texans, right?
Yes, it was against the Texans.
Yeah, let me look it up real quick.
It was either 1 or 2, but like I'm pretty sure it was like 3 plays. If it was 2 drive, it was like 3 and out, pull them off the field, they're done. What do you gain from that? What's the point of even playing them? At that point, just set them and play the backups again.
Yeah, it almost feels like you're playing them just to say that you played the starters.
Yeah, so I do hope that changes this year. Hopefully, again, this is something we talked about early on, but Canales not calling plays this year. Hopefully, we'll see something, of him actually coaching and making decisions kind of like that throughout the games instead of straight calling plays, So, I don't know. I just hope we see something, at least move the ball a little bit, maybe get a field goal or a touchdown, like you said, Michael. If they score a touchdown, pull them. If they think we've seen enough, take them out. But if there's nothing that's happened, leave them out there for another drive or 2. At least get something under your belt before the season starts.
Yeah, and Dave brought up a good point today or yesterday about preseason play calling that I think is important to touch on. This offense has been in effect for about 2 years now, and teams know what we're going to do. So in a sense, being conservative in the preseason and not really And being afraid to show your hand really doesn't have much of a benefit because teams already kind of know your hand,
Right.
In a sense. So I think you kind of saw in the first game that Brad Idzik really didn't have any limitations on play calling. Obviously don't throw like your best trick play out there or something like that.
Right.
But as far as his general offensive play calling goes, it was pretty standard for I think what we would see in a game.
Yeah.
And I hope that continues this week and we really get the offense's best foot against the Bills.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think especially if the starters are going to be out there, because when it's all backups, maybe you're calling plays just to see how well these guys execute when you're making roster decisions. But if you got the starters out there, it's really about building that chemistry and timing. So you're going to want to call some plays that you actually would expect to be running some variation of in the regular season.
Right.
And that's why I agree. I think we should have probably all the starters on the field on offense at least, because that's just such like a timing and chemistry based system. On defense, maybe I'd like to see some of the secondary play just because that's also sort of a chemistry based thing.
Defense, I'm the complete opposite mindset. Defense, I'm like sit all of them almost.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously,
there's
okay.
really not as much to be gained, to be honest.
Yeah, like the rookie second year guys, like let them play. But like for example, I don't want to see Derek Brown. I do not want to see Jalen Phillips. I do not want to see J.C. Horn or really Devin Lloyd. Like all those guys have shown that they can play at a Pro Bowl caliber. They've been in. I mean, maybe Devin Lloyd needs to play just because he hasn't been in this defense. But aside from that, all these guys have shown they can play in this defense at a Pro Bowl caliber level. They know what they're doing. There is no point in playing them for an extended period of time in the preseason.
Absolutely.
Unless they ask.
Yeah. Like you said, I know you said Phillips there, but like Phillips and Lloyd, I could see them play maybe an extra drive just because, first year with the team, maybe learn a couple things in there. But, I mean, they're veterans. They know what they're doing, so it's not going to take them long to pick up on it anyway. So, I mean, I could see that. But these younger dudes who are backups who could be starters, if an injury happens, like maybe Princely, these guys need to play. And hopefully we see something outside of our pass rush because the Hall of Fame game didn't show us too much.
Yeah, and that was really like the big disappointment I took away. Not only that, but the corners as well.
Yeah.
But our pass rush did not do much of anything against the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Particularly from the interior, I hardly saw any interior pressure. The one play that we really did have, there was a coverage sack that happened, but aside from that, the only win that our pass rush took was Elijah Garcia kind of drawing a holding call.
Yeah. And that was about it. Wasn't much. So definitely want to see more from that. One little quick topic I'd like to throw in here. This is very recent. This came out like a couple hours ago, I'm pretty sure. But did you guys see where PFF ranked J.C. Horn as the 28th best corner in the NFL?
Yeah, ignore that.
I know.
Ignore
just
that.
Crazy. Had to throw that in there. Just to.
I think that's more of a flaw of PFF's grading system rather than on J.C. Horn.
Yeah.
Pro Football Focus really values how many penalties you get.
Yep.
And whether they're righteous or not, J.C. Horn got a lot last year. And that's probably why he's rated that low.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even really need to, it's not even so much taking shots at PFF. It's just anytime you have a mathematical grading system like this, I think you're going to have oversights like that. I don't think anybody that watches football would really rank J.C. Horn where they rank them. It's just kind of but like Michael said, it's just kind of how the weighting system, dogged on J.C. Horn a little bit more than is realistic.
Yeah, I don't think the writers at PFF would agree that J.C. Horn is the 28th best corner in football.
Just had to throw that in there. I knew that would have been fun.
So,
anything you guys want to add?
I think so.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Awesome. We're full swing football. Season's back. Play the Bills this week. Hopefully, we go undefeated in the preseason. But yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you follow Michael and Logan on Instagram as they do tons of daily updates on training camp, players, anything going on Panthers-wise. Make sure you follow them. And we'll be back next week. So thank you guys for tuning in and watching.
All right, see you guys.